Hey guys, it's Ruben here with a new video, and today we're gonna find out whether I can beat Pokemon Shield with just a Grookey. I normally don't share my Pokemon challenges on video formats like this, but lately I've been following my Drybread, who does some amazing Pokemon challenges, and I was kinda inspired to do one in a video format. Do take a look at his channel if these challenge type videos interest you guys, as they are really solid. Before we start, let's get a couple things out of the way, starting with the rules. I chose to do my first starter challenge with Grookey because I did not get to use him for my sword or my shield playthroughs, so I thought why not start with him. This means in battle I can only use Grookey. If he faints, well, reload the save to not lose money or take the hit. This will get complicated in double battle scenarios, but I do have a plan. But before we move on, let's take a look at Grookey himself. His stats are nothing to be happy about. It's not bad, but his attack and speed both get 65, so we can work with that for now. He unfortunately has plenty of weaknesses. He's 2 times weak to flying, poison, bug, fire, and ice. He's good against water, ground, and rock, so I guess that's a good trade-off. But the worst part is his moveset. It's actually terrible. Woodhammer is amazing, but he will take ridiculous recoil damage, so no on that one. His TM moves aren't any better. The only TM moves that are worthwhile are TM12 and TM63, which are Solar Blade and Drain Punch respectively. But Solar Blade requires a charge or Sunny Day setup, leaving Drain Punch as my best and most useful move for the run. But guess what? You don't get the move till you get to Winden, where the final championships are being held. So for the first 8 gyms, I'm boned, pretty much with a crappy moveset. Yeah, off to a great start. Next, I chose Pokemon Shield as the game to, do my challenge because the 2 gym leaders that are unique to this game are incredibly powerful against a grass type like Grookey. Gym 4 is a ghost type gym and has Dynamax Gengar, which is ridiculously tough to take down for a Grookey who has a really bad move list to deal with. So that will be fun. Also, Gym 6 is an Ice-type gym, and that will be hugely disadvantageous for us, so that will be amazing as well. Lastly, by choosing Grookey, Leon will take Scorbunny, meaning in our champion battle, Grookey will have to fight against 2 Fire-type starters, Cinderace and a Dynamax Charizard. I'm actually scared on the inside for that one. One last reason to do this challenge in Shield is because of the final rival fight, where he will possess Crowned Zacian, who, as we all know, has ridiculous attack stats and will be an amazing monstrosity to fight with just a single Grookey. So that's the reason I chose Shield. Now, another rule is I can't use items in battle, and as that would make things super easy, so no to the items, but held items are allowed, and I physically cannot see myself doing this challenge without held items because I have 2 plans to get through, which involve 2 very useful items, Leftovers and Eviolite. So yeah, maybe no held items is something to look forward to if a ton of people watch this video and want to see that, but for now, held items are for sure a thing for this run. Lastly, to kick me while I'm down, no Dynamaxing, because if I could Dynamax, I can easily destroy any gym, trainer battles, and the champion with the strategies I have in place. But without Dynamaxing, this challenge is going to be ridiculous, as some Dynamax gym Pokemon are just completely insane, and one especially took me over 20 hours to beat through sheer grinding for levels and many retries. One last thing to note are no cheats. I mean, I have a normal Switch and not one of those fancy modded ones, so it's out of the question, meaning all the grinding and stuff will be real time. Yay. Why not? Either way guys, this challenge is something new and I want my channel to branch out to fun and different experiences, so your support will determine whether I do more or stop with this one. Also, we'll get to find out how much and how long I suffered to complete this run. Stay until the end of the video to actually find that out. So with all the rules out of the way, let's start. I named my female character Zoe after my finch bird that I used to have. I named all my female characters after the bird because people won't stop asking. But yeah, after watching a long cutscene and talking with Hop, following him around town, meeting his champion brother Leon, and then heading back to their place, you get to choose your starter. Fun fact, they give us the option to skip cutscenes in the options, but those are pre-rendered ones and not the dialogues, so smashing A is all I could do for a very long time. Awesome start. Moving on, I make a save in front of Grookey and reset till I get a neutral natured one because trying to get an adamant or a timid one took way too long. Almost 40 retries later, I gave up. So after choosing Grookey, I didn't name him because I just spam skip as it's a reflex thing for me to do. So sorry about that. Next time I will, give him a nickname. But for now, we'll just have a first fight with Hop. He has a Wooloo and a Sobble. This fight is actually really easy. I just use Scratch to take his Wooloo out and then use the newly learned Razor Leaf to mess his Sobble up. Sorry buddy, come back when you're in Inteleon because it can actually use Ice Beam and hurt us. For now, we need some training. But yeah, after beating him, we have a nice run-in with Zamazenta who ghosts us. We then have to head over towards Wedgehurst to meet the professor of this region. When we get to the lab, we find the professor's granddaughter and assistant, Sonia. She mentions to head over to Route 2 to find the professor, so we head over there. In Route 2, I do a little bit of EV training to get my Grookey's attack stat higher. This is accomplished by killing a bunch of Choodles. After that, I head over to the professor's house and Leon mentions that he's doubting whether to endorse us for the gym challenge. But he says Hop and I have to battle to make him change his mind, so we end up fighting. Hop has gotten a little bit stronger and he has one more Pokemon, but he's still no match. He's got a Wooloo, a Rookidee, and a Sobble. It's no problem really. I destroy him and let Leon know that he's next at the end of the game. So for now, he gives us his letter of endorsement and we are off to Motostoke to start the gym challenge ceremony. We take the train from Wedgehurst to the wild area station south of Motostoke. Here, I train a bit but make the mistake of not thinking about EVs. That will actually come to bite me in the back later, but I do end up fighting a ton of wild den Pokemon in max raid battles that Dynamax to get TRs, the move machines that break after a single use, and also experience up items and rare candies that I save for later use. They will come in handy. I end up losing to a couple of strong Pokemon, so I had to reload saves a bunch of times, lose a lot of time there, but I move on and I head into Motostoke. After, Sonia gives us another lecture, I change my hairstyle and head for the ceremony. On the way, Leon gives me the Miracle Seed, which is super useful for my grass moves. Inside the Motostoke gym, we meet Bede, who is a total sociopath, but hey, he's weak. Since the ceremony is the next day, we stay at a hotel where Sonia lectures us again, but right after, we get into some trouble with Team Yell, who I think are the dumbest and funniest team to face in a Pokemon game yet. They aren't even villains, more like hooligans that act like buffoons, but hey, they're weak, so the fights against them aren't even worth mentioning. I steamrolled through. We end up meeting Marnie, who wishes us well, and move on. The next day, we head to the ceremony, skip the cutscene, and then head towards the first gym in Turffield. Before we leave Motostoke, Hop wants another fight. His Pokemon are a bit trained and can actually beat me, but I get lucky and manage to take out Rookidee fast as it's actually got a flying move that hurts Grookey. But once Rookidee went down, his Sobble was nothing. Wooloo was more of a troll for Hop to use his potions, so we aren't even going to waste time mentioning it. Oh wait, I did. Sorry about that. Well, let's move on. In the Pokemon Center nearby, I buy the TM25, which is Protect. So my basic idea was to use Protect to stand against and counter the massive damage that Dynamax Pokemon do. But I forget something, and this bites me later in the butt. It's a funny shock for me, so let's talk about that when we get there. But for now, we end up teaching Protect to Grookey, so he's got Scratch, Razor Leaf, Knockoff, and Protect. It's something for now, but we'll need a little bit of improvement later on. In Route 3, I fight all the trainers for experience and meet with Sonia again, who gives me a lecture about power plants and moves on. We head into Galar Mine that will eventually lead us to Turffield. In here, I explore, collect all the items, and fight all the trainers for more experience. We then find Bede, looking for wishing stars. He's actually going to need more if he thinks he's going to beat us. His entire team is psychic for the first fight, so we actually stomp him with Knockoff and make him look worse than Hop. We leave the mine and exit into Route 4. We fight more trainers, loot some more items, and end up meeting the first gym leader, Milo. He's grass type, so this will be a bit tough for us with a grass type only in our team. We finally manage to reach Turffield and meet up with Sonia again. She gives us another history lesson and small clue to the legend of the Galar region and prompts us to get to the gym. I head inside, make a save before the receptionist, and accept the challenge. The first gym challenge before the gym fight is pretty simple: chase the Wooloo to the end. There will be Yampers who frighten the Wooloo away, but beating the trainers controlling that Yamper will actually stop them. None of the fights pose a challenge, so we get through the simple gym challenge and head to fight Milo in the stadium. Now, I wasn't worried because I was level 24 and none of his Pokemon are above level 20. He starts with a Gossifleur. My strategy was to use Knockoff, thinking that these Pokemon might be holding something, but they don't. But this is also my strongest move I have other than Razor Leaf, which grass types resist, so I didn't really have a choice. Gossifleur tries to increase its speed with Rapid Spin and then uses Round. It does decent damage, but we take it down with a mix of Knockoff, Scratch, and then Knockoff. Next comes his prize Pokemon Eldegoss. He Dynamaxes Eldegoss and I was like, yeah, no problem. My strategy was to use Protect for the first and third turn to neutralize the monstrous damage that Dynamax moves do, but take some damage for the second turn. Not a bad plan considering getting hit 3 times will surely end me. So I used Protect and I was pretty happy with myself for using this strategy. I was all like really happy. So Eldegoss uses Max Strike and I'm still smirking really while thinking that I got this. So let me pause here for a second. Remember how happy I sounded about finding a strategy against Dynamax Pokemon by using Protect to stall them? Well, my stupid self forgot that to stop Dynamax moves, you need an actual Dynamax move too, and it's called Max Guard, which I completely forgot because I never used it in my 2 playthroughs of the 8th gen games. Okay, now let's unpause and see what happens to our Protect strategy. Yep, we get smashed. While Protect negates some damage, it still bleeds through the Protect wall and hurts us a bit. The worst thing is the special effects of the Dynamax moves still take place, making Eldegoss even stronger. This fight was lost the moment I stepped into it as I just don't have the moves or the stats to fight this monster at the moment. I lost pretty badly as its max overgrowth started healing Eldegoss. And even when I retried 10 times at level 24, the result was always the same, get wrecked. We can't even get Eldegoss to half health at times. Yeah, we can't do this at this low level, so you know what that means. Grinding! A ton of grinding. So I take the time to go level up Grookey at Route 2, where I find a ton of Choodles to EV train in attack stat, and a ton of Zigzagoons and Rookedees for the speed EV gain. Now, I don't max my EVs because I was a bit impatient and the grinding was painstakingly boring. I ended up watching the first season of Flash and Arrow as I wanted to go back and reminisce the good old days when the shows were actually good. Either way, I must have defeated over 100 Choodles, Zigzagoons, and Rookedees. I got bored and went to the wild area to fight strong Pokemon there like Diggersby and Onix to level up to level 29 without realizing that they messed up my EV training. What can you do, right? I mean, I just moved on. I also fight a ton of Dynamax Pokemon here in the wild area off camera while training to get more TRs and experience increasing items and rare candies which we will sorely need later in the game, but the TRs don't really help us. Most of them I can't even learn. This process I would say took about 6 hours. After all that training, I head back to the gym, but this time I end up giving Grookey the Black Glasses item to increase his attack power over dark type moves to help raise my damage with knockoff. It's still the strongest move against this gym for me now, so I gotta use it. My first rematch with Milo after getting to level 29 went like this. As usual, his Gossifleur was no problem. I used knockoff and almost one-shot it, and it uses round to hit me a little. No problem as the damage is small. I finish it off and Eldegoss comes in and Dynamaxes. I still use the Protect strategy for the first and third attacks to at least diminish the damage I take. It mostly works. It uses Max Strike the first time and does some damage and lowers my speed by 1 stage. I'm still faster, so for the second round I hit it with a knockoff which does about 1/3 of his health. As expected, it uses Max Overgrowth, but this time the leveling helped a lot as it doesn't do too much damage. Though we both are healing due to Max Overgrowth's lingering terrain effects, we can still deal with it. In the third round, I use Protect again to diminish the Max Strike Eldegoss hits me with, so now I have almost half my health left. From this point, I knew I won because it only takes 2 knockoffs to take Eldegoss down, as its use of Leafage and Round doesn't deal that much damage to Grookey, and after about 11 hours of playing, I finally end up getting the first badge. If this is any indication, we are actually in a very long challenge. Now, with the first gym badge in hand, we head to Route 5, where we have no problem in decimating the trainers there with our over-leveled Grookey. I didn't want this, but hey, it had to be done to take on the Dynamax Pokemon for this game. We end up getting into a small tussle with Team Yell, who are trying to steal a man's bike. We deal with them with no worries, and he thanks us by giving us a bike. Nice. We then head towards Hulbury. We meet Hop along the way, who wants to fight to see who has the better team after both of us get the first gym badge, and I don't think he got the news that I have an overleveled Grookey. It's gonna suck for him. He starts with a Wooloo, which goes down in one shot of my knockoff and then sends out Corvisquire. Now this is a fight that could be bad, but we are too overleveled for this burb to actually pose a threat. I hit him with a knockoff which almost kills him, and then he uses Pluck, which actually does a lot of damage. I try to finish it off, but he heals him with a super potion, so I didn't just take it out with 2 knockoffs. He then sends out Drizzile, which then dies to one hit of my Razor Leaf. Yeah, no sweat there. We move on to Hulberry. There we meet up with Oleana and Rose, who chat us with a bit, and Oleana asks us to meet her at a close by restaurant after I beat the second gym. It's a water gym, so we should have no worries here. We then meet up with Nessa, the gym leader beside the lighthouse, and she heads back to the gym eagerly waiting for us. So let's not disappoint her and head there right now. Inside the gym, I talk to the Pokeball guy and he gives us a lure ball. I definitely will be using that item. Not. We accept the challenge, complete it with no problems as it's just puzzle based, and fight Nessa for the badge. I'm level 31, so this should be no problem. Both her Goldeen and Arrokuda get taken out by one Razor Leaf each, and she is left with her final Pokemon, Dreadnought. She Dynamaxes it, and I stick to my plan on using Protect, so I do. It uses Max Strike and lowers my speed, and then I use Razor Leaf to bring Dreadnought close to death. Dreadnought then uses Max Darkness and does some decent damage on me. I then use Protect, but it uses Max Gazer next and brings me below half health. Once its Dynamax wears off, it uses Razor Shell to bring me down to 14th L, which is really close, but I use a knockoff to finish the match and win myself the second badge, the Water Badge. Now we head to the restaurant to meet Rose, talk with him for a bit, and then he leaves. Sonia gives us a useless TM, so after throwing that in the trash, I find the Shell Bell beside the right side of the city docks. I give it to Grookey because it's a useful held item that heals on heavy hit. It actually will come in handy. I then enter the second Galar mine to get back to Motostoke. While going through the mine, we fight Bede for a second time. His team hasn't improved that much, and since my Grookey is so OP, we wreck him. He has 4 Pokemon with 3 weak to dark moves. His Colossus and Gothita go down to 1 knockoff each, but his Hatena survives the first knockoff. He then heals his Hatena, so I finish it with a Razor Leaf. He then sends out a Galarian Ponyta, which then goes down to 1 knockoff. While navigating the mine, we run into Hop having problems with Team Yell, so we help him with a double battle. As expected, Grookey's Razor Leaf is the best move for these double battles, and we destroy Team Yell. After the fight, we find Kabu, the Motostoke gym leader, training in the mines. He asks us to come to the gym the next day to fight him and leaves. As usual, Hop runs off without any sense and we follow him to exit the mine. He then mentions that he's going to face Kabu and leaves. We then follow the route back to Motostoke. Now, I could take on the gym, but Kabu uses Fire-type Pokemon and his final Pokemon is a Scentiscorch, which is a Fire and Bug Pokemon and is the worst combination of types for my Grookey. I knew I was nowhere close to the level to beat him, especially given it will Dynamax as well, so I decide to finally max out my EVs for attack and speed. Yeah, I'd head back to Route 2 and spend the next 4 hours maxing my EVs by killing Choodles, Zigzagoons, and Rookedees. Either way, we spend another 2 to 3 hours grinding in the wild area to train Grookey to level 40. I wasn't going to take chances, so I trained him really hard. Now, the problem with the grind in this game is that in the old Pokemon games, regardless of your level, any Pokemon in the wild based on their level will give a certain amount of experience. But Black and White introduced XP caps based on higher level Pokemon in your party, so it got worse to XP grind in those games. Well, it actually exists in this game, making the grinding even longer. This was boring and painful, but at least I was about halfway done Arrow Season 1, so I was happy. Also, I found the leftovers in the wild area while training, which Grookey will permanently hold till I get my Eviolite. Well, after all that training, it was time for the gym, but I had to head back to the hotel, where Marnie wants to fight us. She really doesn't stand a chance against my level 40 Grookey, and we steamroll through her. After the battle, I get some sleep and then head for the gym the next day. I make a save in front of the receptionist and head into the gym challenge. The challenge is pretty easy: beat or capture Pokemon to get 5 points. It was a mixture of Sizzlipedes, Litwicks, and Vulpixes. No real problem. The partner Pokemon trainers always hit us, but we just aim for the wild Pokemon and beat them no problem at all. With the challenge done, we fight Kabu. He starts with a Ninetales who started with a Will-O-Wisp and instantly cuts our attack in half. Amazing start. I hit Ninetales with a knockoff which deals a ton of damage, but since we are burnt, we don't do enough to take it out. It then hits us with a Fire Spin. Combined with the lingering Fire Spin and the burn, it doesn't really look good for us already. We finish it off with a knockoff, but we are close to half health now. The leftovers just counters the burn, so we aren't gaining any more health back. He then sends out an Arcanine, whose Intimidate further cuts our attack, so at this point, there was no way to win. My knockoff barely does any damage, and Arcanine does monstrous damage with its Flame Wheel. I quit and redo the gym challenge and the gym fight about 20 times, and this is about 3 hours worth of retries. And I couldn't even reach Scentiscorch, which was bugging me, as the combination of Will-O-Wisp and Arcanine's Intimidate just destroys our ability to do any kind of damage. So I go around looking at the TMs and the TRs that Grookey can learn and realize that it can learn TR00. So I go and I look and I find one in my inventory. I must have gotten it as a random reward from a Dynamax battles in the wild area, and it's actually Swords Dance. This gave me an idea. I can just build up my attack power and blow through these gyms. So what I do is I replace Protect with Swords Dance and then head back to face Kabu with a level 45 Grookey. This time I tried setting up Swords Dance to see if I can do massive damage. Problem was Ninetales still burns us with Will-O-Wisp, but I do manage to get through Arcanine this time. But we are burned and at half health again. Centiskorch comes out and then Dynamaxes. So the moment of truth, can I beat him? Well, my knockoff hits first and actually takes half his health, and it kind of gave me hope that I could beat him with the next move. And then he crushed my hope by destroying me with his signature move, G-Max Centinferno. And pretty much the next 5 times went the same way. I got destroyed by Dynamax Centiskorch. So I thought to myself, it's a matter of surviving the hit by having enough health to outlive the damage. Problem was, each time I started at the receptionist, I had to lose about 5 to 10 minutes to get to Cabo due to the gym challenge. So I actually took the loss and went back to train more. This time I came back to the fight at level 50, a whole 23 levels higher than his strongest Pokemon, and it went about the same. He mixed it up this time by using Max Flutterby and exploiting my weakness to bug moves, and I just couldn't beat him. I retried another 5 times and went back to training again. This is the most grinding I've done to fight a single gym ever. Either way, I come back at level 55 now. So let me explain my situation here and how this battle has to go in a specific way for me to win. I need to Swords Dance to buff my attack 3 times, while not getting hit by a Will-O-Wisp or being burned by Ninetales Ember attack, as Arcanine will always lower my attack. This gives me enough attack power to take out Arcanine and Centiskorch out with 1 knockoff. But if I get hit with a burn status, then I get taken out by Centiskorch as I won't have enough attack power to take it out in 1 hit. Now, the odds of that happening are really low, but after about 3 tries I got lucky, and this is the fight that makes me believe in miracles. While I set up my Swords Dance 3 times, Ninetales actually misses the first Will-O-Wisp and also doesn't burn me with the Ember. From there, I proceed to one-shot the entire team with a knockoff. And there you have it. After 25 hours of grinding and retries to beat the 3rd gym, I just can't wait for the ice gym. Oh man, this was painful. But hey, I managed to beat it without using Dynamaxing or items in battle, so I'm happy, and let's just move on. From this point, my strategy for every fight is to Swords Dance setup on the first Pokemon and then proceed to one-shot the rest of the team. No normal trainer in the world is going to trouble us. Even rival battles like Beat and Hop don't stand a chance. Only battles that are troubling are gym battles and the finals for the championship and endgame stuff, because they do include Dynamax Pokemon, so we can breathe easy a little bit. Before leaving Motostoke, I get another haircut and go with long hair. I like long hair on women and red, so we're sticking to that for the rest of the run. We cross the wild area and head to Hammerlock. At Hammerlock, we get some story exposition dump and all that jazz. Safe to say, I smash my A button to skip all the dialogue and move on to Route 6. Only encounter noting here is Team Yell blocking the path because they don't want to wake up a Silicobra, so we whip their butts with our mega monster Grookey and move on to the next town, that is Stowon's side. There we face Hop again. He's got some upgrades to his team. He has a Cramorant, Toxel, Drizzile, and Silicobra. I proceed to set up 3 Swords Dance while Cramorant tries its best to hit me. After the setup, I one-shot his entire team, exactly as planned. This new strategy should get us through most fights, but some will cause problems as it may not be easy to set up. We will find that out in a couple gyms. After the fight, we got inside the gym and we get a heavy ball from the Pokeball guy. I'm sure people are craving to know about that, so here it is. We complete the challenge pretty easily. Ghost Pokemon were no trouble here as I had knockoff which actually decimated them, and so it was time for the gym battle with Alistair. He starts with a Galarian Yamask. I'm level 56 at this point, so I wasn't even a little worried. I tried setting up a triple Swords Dance, but I'm guessing everyone told Alistair about my Swords Dance plan as he actually uses Disable to stop me from using it. Smart kid. Either way, I had enough attack stat to break his team, and so I proceed to one-shot his entire team. Except its Mimikyu, as I had to break its disguise first, but no real problem. I thought Dynamax Gengar would actually go first, but I guess I had a little bit more speed. With the 4th gym badge down, we leave the gym. Alright, so at this point we gotta fight Bede here because he's going on a rampage on some mural, and so we have to put him in his place by destroying his team. I set up one Swords Dance, but his Duosian hits Grookey hard with a Psyshock. I then proceed to one-shot his entire team with Knockoff and Razor Leaf. After dealing with his team, Rose and Oleana ban him from the gym challenge and they leave. The mural breaks down and Sonia figures out that the legends are talking about 2 Pokemon. What she doesn't realize is that the legend is talking about Zoe and Grookey, pretty much us. Regardless, moving on. We heal up and enter Glimwood Tangle. Nothing really to mention here. I collect all the items, beat all the trainers, and move on to Ballon Lee. Here, before I head for the gym, I end up getting my Eviolite, and this is super useful as it doubles our defense stats. Without this item, this run I don't think is possible. At the time of writing this, I'm not even done it, so let's just move on. I enter the gym next and talk with Marnie for a bit and get a love ball from the Pokemon guy. I guess I can sell it, love can be sold. Well, onto the gym challenge, which is really simple. Just fight a bunch of trainers who use fairy types and answer some questions right. If you answer it right, you get a stat bonus. If you don't, you get a stat debuff. I know all the answers now, so I get buffs when I get them right to help us out. After the challenge, we get to face Opal, the 5th gym leader. She starts with a Galarian Weezing, who actually proves to be quite a roadblock. The problem with this fight is that by the time I try and set up Swords Dance to take the rest of her team out in one shot, Weezing hits me with Sludge, which does a lot of damage, and also finds a way to poison me. I end up taking out Weezing, but the poison deals a ton of damage, and her Togekiss takes us out with an Air Slash. I try a couple more times, and it goes about the same way. So I come back after leveling up to level 60 and try again, and it goes the same way for a couple times. So what I do is I come back at level 65, and guess what? I still take the same type of damage and get murdered by poison if I get the poison status. So the new idea was to reset instantly if I got poisoned by the sludge. This takes a couple retries, but eventually I got a run where the sludge didn't poison me. I set up one Swords Dance to help with increasing my attack. This works and I was able to take out Weezing without getting poisoned. Next I used 2 scratches to take out Togekiss, but it does hit me hard and leaves me close to death with an Air Slash. Next came Mawile. I set up a Swords Dance again, knowing that Mawile likes to set up Iron Defense. I max out my attack with another Swords Dance and Mawile luckily still does more Iron Defensing. I then use Razor Leaf to bring it to red and Mawile counters with a Crunch. Luckily it doesn't do enough to take me out, so I finish it with a Knockoff. Opal then sends out Alcremie next and Dynamaxes it, but then we take it out with a single Razor Leaf. I'm glad Razor Leaf actually hit because it could have missed and ruined this run. It's all based on luck whether that poison was going to hit Grookey or not, because if it did, I would have had to restart the run because I would have never have finished the fight. Either way, we're done here. Alright, so we get the fairy badge and head back to Hammerlock, where Opal takes Bede into her tutelage. We then talk with Leon and Sonia for a bit, and then I teach Mega Bunch to Grookey by buying TM00 from the Pokemart. We then head to Route 7 and face off against Hop. He starts with a Trevenant, which is good because it lets us set up our Swords Dance. While I was setting up Swords Dance, Trevenant hits us with Shadow Claw, which does okay damage, but then uses Confuse Ray at the end. I get confused and hit myself and I actually kill myself. So it seems we gotta take out Trevenant before that happens. I reload the save and try again. This time I set up 2 Swords Dance, but still get confused by Trevenant. Luckily, the confusion never actually affects me and I managed to one-shot his entire team. I guess we're done. We then head towards the 6th gym and end up battling all the trainers and collect all the items in routes 7 and 8 along the way. We reach Circhester with no problems and head for the gym. Hop wishes us and leaves. And we get a Moonball from the Pokeball guy. Just thought you guys should know. He actually freaks me out. Regardless, let's start the gym challenge. Not too bad, the trainers nor the challenge gave me any trouble, and I finish easily to reach Melanie, the gym leader. She sends out Frostmoth first, and I try setting up Swords Dance. She hits us with an Icy Wind, which does a ton of damage and also lowers our speed. We end up taking it out in 1 Mega Punch, and then comes in Galarian Darmanitan. He uses Taunt, so we can't actually use Swords Dance anymore, but we still take it out in 1 Mega Punch. Next comes out my worst nightmare, Ice Cube. Its ability Ice Face becomes a huge problem as it absorbs the first hit, and can regenerate this face if Hail is active, which actually blows. All the while I try taking its Ice Face off, it hits me with Icy Wind and keeps damaging and lowering my speed. My next few tries didn't go any better, so I come back at level 71 after some grinding. And this time, after setting up one sword stance, Frostmoth uses hail, so I don't actually take damage from an icy wind or get my speed lowered. So this is actually great. Darmanitan goes down to 1 Mega Punch and out comes Ice Cube. I hit it with a knockoff and break its ice face, and it hits me with an icy wind and lowers my speed. Damage isn't too bad this time, and lucky for me, it then actually proceeds to use freeze dry, as for some reason its ice face doesn't actually grow back. I one-shot it with a knockoff and I was really happy, but I was close to death now. Out comes the last Pokemon, Lapras, which then Dynamaxes. I actually pray and use Razor Leaf and it works. It one-shots Lapras for the win. I was most scared of this gym because Ice Cube is such a troll, but hey, that wasn't too bad. The fire gym is still the worst and longest I've spent on a gym ever, so let's just count my blessings and move on. After getting the Ice Badge, Sonia and Hop want to meet for lunch. We talk about the legendary Pokemon and Hop challenges us for a battle. He sends out Dubwool first. I end up setting up 3 sword stands while Dubwool growls to lower our attack and then hits us with takedown. I then proceed to one-shot the whole team except Pincurchin, I think that's how you say it, or Pink Urchin, whatever, who avoids my Razor Leaf and paralyzes us. But we take it out the next turn with a knockoff. After the battle, we head to Route 9 where Team Yell is bothering the bike dude again. We smack them silly, teach them a lesson, and he gives us the bike upgrade that lets us traverse water. We use this new tool to get through the water area to reach Outer Spikemuth where the 7th gym is. Before we can enter the city, Marnie wants a battle, so we take her on. She starts with a Liepard and I set up 1 sword stance. It tries to hit us with a Sucker Punch and fails, but then hits us for measly damage on the second turn. I then proceed to one-shot her entire team. She then lets us into the city where we can take on the gym challenge. The challenge requires that I have at least 2 Pokemon in my party, which is really stupid, so I end up fishing for a weak Magikarp and add it to my second party slot. The gym challenge is actually easy, just fight all the Team Yell members. There are double battles, but I only use Magikarp's Splash, which ends up doing nothing, so no real problem here, and I'm not actually aiding my Grookey in any way. We get to the gym leader Piers pretty quickly. He starts with a Scrafty, which lowers my attack with Intimidate. This already starts me in a weakened position, so I am forced to set up more sword stance to counter that. What's bad is that he can actually use Sand Attack to lower my accuracy and make the battle even harder, as Razor Leaf and Mega Punch already have poor accuracy at times. Once Scrafty goes down to a Mega Punch, he sends out Malamar, which one-shots us with a foul play. The move damages me for having a higher attack, so I always get one-shot due to having set up Sword Stance. This sucks because I need the Sword Stance set up for the rest of the fight. I end up trying again a couple more times where I set up 3 Sword Stance, but I take too much damage from Scrafty, and sometimes my Mega Punch misses due to the Sand Attack, which makes me lose to Malamar. But I keep trying at it, and after several tries, I get past Malamar without missing my Mega Punch, and out comes Obstagoon, who likes to use Obstruct at times to mess with my defense. Even after taking him out, his final Pokemon is a huge pain in the butt, Skuntank. It has the ability Aftermath, which deals huge damage when it faints. I end up actually losing to the Aftermath damage because of how much damage I already took in the fight. I try several more times, and it's always several things that can end the fight. I either miss my Mega Punch to Malamar, and it one-shots me with Foul Play, or Skuntank kills us with the Aftermath damage. So I come back at level 75, and the result is pretty much the same. But after my 4th retry, I get this run where I end up taking out Skuntank, and the Aftermath leaves me with 8 HP left, which is super lucky. I guess it's all about how much HP you have, so the only thing at this point I could have done to make the fight easier is to level up more. But hey, we got him, so let's move on. We take the Dark Badge from Pierce and leave. There is some drama about rampaging Dynamax Pokemon, so we go around the story beats and get through them. After all this stuff, it's time for the 8th and final gym time. Fun thing is that all the battles are double battles, which is great because Magikarp is such a great teammate from Grookey. The gym challenge fights were okay, except the second one where we got burned by Ninetales and taken out by the Turtonator. But after a couple retries, we managed to complete it and move on to Raihan. Here's where things become annoying. Raihan starts with Flygon and Gigalith, who sets up a Sandstream. Great. Passive damage is what we need more of. I try setting up a Sword Stance, but Flygon has this new move called Breaking Swipe, which lowers my attack when it hits me. So amazing, and it also damages me. So essentially, this fight is chance-based, where we're hoping that Flygon doesn't use Breaking Swipe, because we actually will have to use more Sword Stances, and in doing so, we potentially take more damage during the fight. Gigalith also uses Body Press, which actually hurts us a little bit more than I thought it would. So we use Razor Leaf to take out his Flygon, Gigalith, and Sandaconda. Oleana, but we are seriously low in health, and out comes Duraludon, who actually Dynamaxes and murders us. Funny thing is, we don't even really dent Duraludon either, so this is a nightmare scenario where all the right things need to happen without fail. So what needs to happen is that while I set up Sword Stance, Flygon cannot hit Grookey with Breaking Swipe, and my Razor Leaves cannot miss. That sounds totally doable, right? Like, sure. I try a couple more times and it doesn't get any better, so we come back at level 80. Doesn't get any better even then. And this is where I wanted to pretty much give up on this run, as the training and the grinding to increase levels were super stagnant, were super slow. I was training at the Lake of Outrage, but the progress was so slow. It was glacial. And I tried gathering rare candies and experience items through wild area Dynamax raid battles, and that wasn't going any better either. I was also moving around this time, so I guess I used that free time while relaxing to grind out those levels. And after the move, I finally come back at level 85, which was rough, guys. Trust me, it was super rough. I still failed a couple times where Duraludon murdered me, but after about the 6th retry, we get this run where instead of Breaking Swipe, Flygon uses Thunder Punch to hit Magikarp. I cannot believe it. I actually cannot believe it. So I use this chance to Sword Stance. Gigalith hits me with a Body Press, but the damage is okay. I then use Razor Leaf to take them both out in a hit. Out comes Duraludon and Santa Cobra. I take out Santa Cobra in a single Razor Leaf, but the Dynamax Duraludon is super tough. It hits with a max rockfall, which doesn't do much. I then Sword Stance once more for the attack boost. It hits us with a G-Max depletion, which, is really hard, but we survive. I then hit it with a knockoff and almost kill it, but it hangs on to hit us with a max steel spike and almost kills us. We have 10 HP left, and I knew that Sandstorm was gonna kill me, but luckily the Sandstorm subsides, which is just super miracle. It's like a super miracle at this point. I proceed to finish the damn fight with a knockoff to beat the 8 gym leader and claim the Dragon Badge by utter chance. That was hours of grinding, which I never will get back, so let's never talk about this again and move on. When we leave the Hammerlock gym, Sonia becomes a full professor and we make our way to the train station to head to Winden, where the championships are being held. Hop and I get on the train and head to Route 10, which is pretty much the last push for the finals. Since my Pokemon is at level 85, has no problems dealing with the trainers here. We collect all the items here and reach Winden easily. Once we reach Winden, I immediately head to the Pokemon Center at the Winden Coliseum to get the TM63 Drain Punch. This right here is the winner move. Practically is going to help us beat most of the game while healing us. If we had access to this move earlier in the game, we didn't have to waste time grinding to stupid lengths. But hey, we have it now, so let's move on. With the Drain Punch learned and being level 85, we start the championship. First opponent is Marnie, and she starts with a Liepard. I set up one Sword Stance while Liepard was setting up Nasty Plot. I didn't want to risk it, so I used a Drain Punch to take it out in one shot. Next comes Toxicroak. I use Knockoff, which does a lot of damage, but it hits back with Venoshock for a decent amount of damage on Grookey. I finish it with another Knockoff, and out comes Scrafty. I set up another Sword Stance while Scrafty lowers our speed with Scary Face. I then take it out with a single Drain Punch. After that, I also one-shot both Morpeko and Grimmsnaw with one hit from the Drain Punch and Razor Leaf to get an easy victory over Marnie. The next match is against Hop. He starts with Dubwool, and as usual, I set up my 3 Sword Stance to power up. Dubwool manages to paralyze us with a Body Slam, but we get the health back from Drain Punch after every hit, so we end up one-shotting his entire team, and that's it. We make it to the finals for the next day. Pretty easy so far. So, after that, we spam the A button through some serious story tidbits, chase some Cosmo Trainer who has access to where we need to go, storm Rose Tower, and manage to make it to the top where Leon and Rose casually talk about useless stuff. Oleana turns evil and wants to fight us, so we do so. She starts with a Frostlass who's actually pretty terrible to set up against, but we try with Sword Stance while she burns us, uses Double Team to increase evasiveness, and hurts us with Hex a lot. We take her out with one knockoff and she sends out Salazzle. A knockoff takes it out with one hit too. Serena is next and I use Drain Punch to one-shot her and get some health back. Her Milotic comes out. I try using Razor Leaf and actually misses. Luckily she uses Aqua Ring to set up, and so I finish her with one Drain Punch to get more life back. Her last Pokemon is Garbodor, which she Dynamaxes to trash Zilla, so we proceed to one-shot that monster with one knockoff to show Oleana that she's just as terrible at being a trainer as she is an assistant to Rose. So after this, some weird stuff happens where Rose proposes to Leon and says, "I need you," and Leon declines and makes Rose sad. We then proceed to the next day for the finals. So at this point, Beat storms out of nowhere and wants a battle, so we fight him first. He has all fairy types now, so knockoff won't fully work anymore. Regardless, he starts with Mawile and lowers our attack with Intimidate. So I Swords Dance a couple times and proceeds to one-shot his entire team. Yeah, he still sucks. Whether he's using a Psychic type or a Fairy type, he's crap. On to the finals. The first fight is against Nessa. She starts with a Galissapod. She lands a hit first with First Impression and actually hurts us a lot. I set up 2 Swords Dance while praying not to get hit and take it out with a single knockoff. Same goes for Seeking with a Drain Punch. Pelipper goes down to 1 Razor Leaf, but then comes Barraskewda. It uses Ice Fang and actually freezes up. First time I've ever been frozen in this game. I couldn't thaw out in time and I lose the fight. So I reset, and this time no freeze, so the single Drain Punch takes it out. Final Pokemon is Dreadnought, which Dynamaxes, and 1 Razor Leaf takes it out. Moving on to the second fight. This fight is against Alistair. He starts with a Dusknoir. I Swords Dance while he uses Rock Tomb and lowers my speed. I then proceed to take out his Dusknoir, Chandelure, and Poltegeist with knockoffs. I then set up more Swords Dance against his Cursula as it doesn't do much damage, and finish his Cursula and Dynamax Gengar with a knockoff each for a simple fight. Now Gengar does hit us with a Max Ooze that almost kills him, but hey, we get lucky and we beat him. With that, we move to the final fight against none other than Raihan. He starts with a Torkoal, and I completely forget about this because it instantly goes into kill range as he has Drought setting up Sunny Day. If he had a really powerful fire move, that would have been an instant kill. I start with a Swords Dance to power up and Torkoal uses Lava Plume to take me to half health. I then use Drain Punch to get some health back. He then uses Yawn to set up a sleep for the next turn, so I proceed to finish Torkoal and get more health back with the Drain Punch. I fall asleep though. Raihan then sends out Turtonator, probably one of the worst Pokemon to send against me at this moment in time because instead of killing me, it keeps setting up Shell Trap and Sunny Day. So I actually had more than enough time to wake up, set up my multiple Swords Dance to max my attack, and then I proceed to one-shot his entire team. Great strategy. Get a better fire move. But yeah, that's it. The next fight is the championship fight against Leon, but Rose loses a couple brain cells and wakes up an evil legendary Pokemon, Eternatus. So now we gotta go find the legendary wolves or dogs, whatever we want to call them, that can actually put a stop to it. We head back to Slumbering Weald and meet up with Zamazenta again. We then head into the legendary shrine and pick up the Ruster's shield and sword and head back to Hammerlock where Rose has set up shop. He goes on and on about saving Galar from an energy crisis, so obviously we have to fight him. He starts with an Escavalier. I start with a Drain Punch because I'm scared of its Mega Horn, which can potentially one-shot me, and he uses Swords Dance. I get really scared now because I know he definitely can one-shot me. I then use a Swords Dance by accident when I should have just used Drain Punch, but luckily he misses its Mega Horn, so I finish it off with a Drain Punch. Out comes Ferrothorn next. I max out my attack with Swords Dance while Ferrothorn hits hard with a couple Gyro Balls. But then with maxed attack, I proceed to one-shot his entire team with Drain Punch, even his Dynamax Copperajah. After the fight, Rose spews some more nonsense and leaves. Next up, the fight with Eternatus. This is a brutal fight as I definitely need a Swords Dance to do decent damage with knockoff. My other 2 attacks won't do much, but Eternatus is one of the strongest Pokemon this gen, and it's Dragon and Poison type, and has the moves Cross Poison and Flamethrower, which can easily take out Grookey. So you can kind of guess how these attempts went. Several attempts showed that I was getting close but not close enough, so I came back at level 90 and we managed to pull a victory, but it was super close. Then we get our 4-on-1 raid battle against Dynamax Eternatus with the help of Hop, Zacian, and Zamazenta. Here's where things definitely don't go our way. Even being level 90, the Dynamax moves that Eternatus can do has the potential to easily one-shot me. Several attempts showed me that I got close, but Eternatus just murders Grookey with a Max Flare if it hits me. We also don't do enough damage. We need extreme luck on our side to actually pull this off. So I come back after maxing out Grookey's level to level 100. These are her final stats. Not too shabby, but it could have been better with a more suitable nature and better EV training. Something to think about for future runs. Not easy to do, but I used rare candies and experience items for the last few levels to actually help. This time we dealt a bit more damage and withstood a bit more damage as well. The leveling to max level helps as we got through the base Eternatus fight easily, and I survived more hits against Dynamax Eternatus. With a bit of luck on our side, we finally managed to take down this monster and capture it. Now we have to capture this Pokemon. There is no other way to get through the story without doing so. Also, I'm sure if I retried like 20 or 30 times, I could have had this fight completed at level 90, but going through the dialogue and skipping all the cutscenes to get to the fight was just so annoying, and I just wanted to speed up the process, so I leveled up to level 100. Regardless, with Eternatus safely deposited in the box, we head to the championship battle for the ultimate showdown. So let's do it. Leon starts with an Aegislash that always defends the first move, so I use that knowledge to use Swords Dance to power up. He then uses Shadow Ball that takes half my health while I still Swords Dance. I Swords Dance one more time knowing that it will use King Shield, and it does. Now with maxed attack, I proceed to one-shot his entire team. Yeah. Even his Dynamax Charizard. Pretty anticlimactic, but if I didn't use my Swords Dance strategy, I would never have been able to beat him. And with that, we are the champion. I can't believe we did this, but we still got to get through the post-game story and the final few epic fights. So after the credits roll through, Professor Magnolia gives us a Master Ball, and then we head deep into Slumbering Wheel to fight Hop one more time. The fight is like always. He starts with a Dovewolf. I set up 3 Swords Dance and one-shot his entire team. Where was Drain Punch earlier in the game? Because it makes life so much easier. Regardless, we get the 2 spoiled royal bros coming in and being a nuisance, so I end up fighting Shieldbert. He starts with a Surf Fetched. I set up Swords Dance, but he hits hard with Meteor Assault. With my attack being so high, I take out Surf Fetched and one-shot the rest of Shieldbert's team. After the fight, Swordward and Shieldbert run off with the Rusty Sword, so we gotta track them now. At Wedgehurst, Sonia mentions the map can actually show the next sighting of rampaging Dynamax Pokemon who were triggered by the bros. So we gotta go help the gym leaders deal with these Dynamax Pokemon. First stop is the grass gym at Turffield. This fight is against a Dynamax Serena. The fight isn't too bad. With help from Pierce, Hop, and Milo, we managed to take her down without too much trouble. The bros appear, make fun of Hop, get him angry, and then leave. We get a call from Sonia mentioning other places that have these problems as well, so we head to Hullberry to help out Nessa. The Dynamax Gyarados does have more health, so it took a little bit longer to take down, but we get through it with no problems. Next stop is Motostoke Gym, where we got a Dynamax Torkoal. Now this fight actually took a while because one Max Flare and Grookey is dead, with Torkoal's Drought ability also, powering up Max Flare. But after a couple retries, I get a perfect run where the Max Flare isn't used on Grookey and we take down the Torkoal. After beating Torkoal, we get a call from Sonia about the bros bothering here, so we hightail it fast to Wedgehurst and we gotta fight them in a double battle. Hop tags along. This fight is actually a bit difficult because Swordward's Golisopard is pretty tough and can easily take us down. By the time I set up Swords Dance to one-shot their team, Golisopard always finds a way to take Grookey out. Hop chooses the dumbest moves and always loses, so I can't actually afford to lose Grookey here. I can't really do anything new here as I'm already max level and learning new moves won't really help in this situation. Maybe Acrobatics will for Golisopod, but I will be left defenseless for the rest of the team. So I just keep trying until I manage to take out Golisopod without it killing me first. The plan really didn't work as I couldn't one-shot Golisopod, so he uses Emergency Exit to escape. Swordward sends out Double Aid next. I use a chance to get my final Sword Stance to be at max attack. This cost me a lot of health and Double goes down. Hop sends in Inteleon. I use Drain Punch on Bronzong, which kills it and heals me a little. Inteleon uses Snipe Shot to bring Double Aid close to death, and Double Aid uses Shadow Claw and brings Inteleon below half health with a crit. Klinklang is sent out next. I use Drain Punch to take out Klinklang and heal most of my HP, and Inteleon finishes off Double Aid with a Snipe Shot. Next comes out Golisopod again and Phalanx. I tried taking out Golisopod with a knockoff first, but it hits me with a first impression and crits me. I survive luckily with 8 HP and finish it up with a knockoff. Luckily for me, Inteleon actually kills Phalanx with a Snipe Shot, or this fight would have been over because I know for sure Phalanx would have hit me. I then finished the fight by taking out the final Pokemon Bisharp with a single Drain Punch. I'm surprised I didn't actually use Sucker Punch, but hey, I'll take it. After how long it took to actually beat this, I don't really care. After the fight, the Weird Bros leave and we are tasked to take down the other Dynamax Pokemon for the rest of the gyms. So we head to the Ghost Gym first. There we face a Dusknoir, which took me out with a maxed Hailstorm and Ice Punches me my first time I was trying to max my attack with Swords Dance. So I decide not to max my attack the next attempt. I Swords Dance once and get hit with a max Hailstorm, which takes me to half health. I then use Razor Leaf, which gets Dusknoir below half health. But it neutralizes stat changes and then hits up with a Thunder Punch. Not bad, we don't take too much damage. I then use Razor Leaf hoping to beat it, but it survives with a Sliver. It then counters with an Earthquake and we don't take too much damage again. We get lucky, so I use the opportunity to finish Dusknoir with a Razor Leaf. No ice moves, which was a surprise, but hey, we can finally move on. We then head into the fairy gym, but Beat seems to be in control of the situation and wants one final rematch. So let's shut him down for good. He starts with a Mawile that instantly lowers our attack with an Intimidate. So I set up Sword Stance till my attack is maxed out, while Mawile tries its best to lower my attack and hurt me with Fake Tears and Play Rough respectively. Once I set up, I proceed to one-shot his entire team. Nothing much to it, he's still terrible. Next, we head to Sirchester Gym and we gotta deal with an overgrown Frostlass who always manages to kill us. My knockoffs don't work on Dynamax wild Pokemon, so I had to teach Grookey Assurance to actually be able to hurt Frostlass. When I came back for a rematch, I Sword Stance the first move, to which Frostlass counters with a max Hailstorm. He got me to half health, but then I countered with an Assurance to one-shot Frostlass and win the match. We then head to Hammerlock Gym where we got an overgrown Haxorus. This is actually pretty scary. Look at that thing. I made sure to teach Drain Punch again, so I end up Sword Stancing the first round and then Drain Punching till I win. Haxorus tried its best to hurt us, but the healing done from Drain Punch gave me a solid victory. With all the rampaging Dynamax Pokemon dealt with, we head to face off against Shieldbird one last time. He starts with Surfetched again and I Sword Stance 2 times, while Surfetched uses Meteor Salt and recharges. After that, I take it out with a single Drain Punch. Next comes Phalanx, to which I max my attack with one more Sword Stance. Phalanx tries a Mega Horn and actually misses, and thanks to that luck, I then proceed to one-shot his entire team. With Shieldbird beaten, it's time to face the angry Zacian. Since it's fairy type, only Razor Leaf can work. Also, did I mention that Zacian hits pretty hard? Because it really does. I go down pretty quick my first time fighting it. I go down a couple more times before I get a run where Zacian starts with Sword Stance, like it really needs any more attack stats. I then also Sword Stance to power up my attack. Next, Zacian hits really hard with an Iron Head, and thanks to it not flinching us, I hit back for the same damage with Razor Leaf. Instead of killing me, Zacian I guess wanted to flex his muscles with a Sword Stance, but I used the chance and I beat it with one more Razor Leaf. With it beaten, Zamazenta shows up to calm it down, but Zacian runs off. Zamazenta now wants a battle. I didn't want to cheese and use a Master Ball to instantly catch it and actually wanted to beat it, so I saved and challenged it. I start by enhancing my attack with 3 Sword Stances, while Zamazenta uses Slash to hurt me a bit, Iron Defense to increase its defense, and then hitting me with a Behemoth Bash to do some more decent damage. I then counter with a Drain Punch to bring it down more than half health, and instead of retaliating, it goes for an Iron Defense. Thanks, I guess, because I then proceed to get the victory with one more Drain Punch. So to my surprise, it doesn't go away and it doesn't die, and apparently you have to catch it. That's part of the story. So I just ended up using the Master Ball by challenging it again. But it seems like a decent way to get some experience by beating it over and over if you're already not max level at this late stage in the game. And with that catch, we are but one fight away from finishing this challenge without Dynamaxing or using any items in battles. Oh man, I hate this fight because Crown Zacian is scary powerful and really good. But hey, we got this far, so let's go on and get this over with. We go to Slumbering Weald into the shrine, and Hop catches Zacian and wants to re-challenge us. So I save and go for it. Hop starts with his trusty Dubwool. I use Sword Stance 3 times to max my attack. Dubwool does its best to hit me with 2 double edges, which takes me below half health, and realizes that I'm going to murder it, so it uses Cotton Guard to buff its defense. Not enough. I then go on to one-shot his entire team, even Zacian. The only Pokemon on his team faster than Grookey were Inteleon and Zacian, who hit me hard, but I was able to squeeze by to get the victory over them. And with that, guys, I have beaten Pokemon Shield with a Grookey without using Dynamax or any items in battle. I did have to catch Magikarp in order to get to participate in the last 2 gyms, which were unavoidable, and I had to catch Eternatus and Zamazenta for story purposes. But yeah, check this out. 84 hours and 24 minutes is what it shows here, but there was at least around 30 to 40 hours of retries. I can't really remember, but it was a long time where I just kept retrying, and you know, each retry I had to go through the gym challenge as well, so it adds up, and that was the most painful part. Skipping through mountains of dialogue and redoing gym challenge totally broke me at certain points in this run. There were many times I wanted to give up, but I did it in small chunks throughout December while catching up with old TV shows and anime. While I'm happy that I got this done, I honestly don't know if I can put myself through another one of these Shield or Sword runs, as the grind really is unbearable and just super slow. slow. I enjoy progress in games, but when it gets super slow like how this challenge was, it rubs me the wrong way. I enjoy strong bosses and use of different strategies and levels and stuff like that, but most of this is just, oh look, this mon is one-shotting me, so I need to go just grind more and increase my HP. I'm up to doing more of these challenges if people really like this video and want to see more, but I think I've earned a short break from Pokemon challenges. Hope you guys enjoyed my run, and let me know if there are other challenges that I could do, not just Pokemon Shield or Sword, but previous ones too. I don't mind venturing back in the past titles as well. If you guys want to get in touch, tweet me, send me an Instagram message, or even join my Discord. All info is listed below in the descriptions. Your input is always welcome. Again, I'm sorry this video is really long, but hey, this challenge was really long as well. Well, that's going to be it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care, guys.